and welcome to Character Class. Today, today I'm going to be delving into 5 templates that you players and storytellers can use for Malkavians. Now, it's been a little while since my last template episode on Character Class here, because I knew the next one coming up is the next one in order for the Camarilla, which is Malkavians. And Malkavians are one of my favorite clans, as well as dealing with a certain specific problem. Because with Malkavians, they have the weakness of beginning with an incurable derangement. It is how they all begin. They all have an incurable derangement to begin with, which is, some sort of madness. It's in the blood. Now, before I delve into things and start start doing the actual template, I want to talk a little bit about mental illness and whatnot, because I'm going to be talking about several different types of mental illness that a lot of people do suffer from. It's not something that I am trying to. It's not something that I'm making fun of or making light of when I'm talking about it here. It's not something that I'm, you know, basically trying to poke at and misrepresent. I'm not. I'm no expert. I'm no doctor on the subject of mental illness. I have done a fair bit of research into various types of mental illness when I have portrayed it in my role-playing games. I try to do it right because it's not something that is funny or a joke and should be made funny or be made a joke of. It's not. It is something serious that people suffer from. It can be uh, mild, it can be severe. It all depends on the individual. But I like to make it seem realistic and plausible when I do it. It's simply one of the things that I like. And I know there are a lot of people out there that play madness or mental illness or whatever you want to call it. Um, they portray it and just have have a laugh at it all. And I don't really like that. I mean, granted that whatever situation happens to be going on in game, when you're doing role playing with a group at a table and having fun or doing it online, you're doing it to have fun. You're role playing. You're putting yourself into um, another character's personality and trying to be that person while you're playing. It's a game to have fun with. Now that being said, that doesn't mean that just because you have a game that you're having fun doesn't mean you can't explore mature themes, such as uh, mental illness or physical illness or relationship problems. That's what role playing is all about. So, kind of a bit of a disclaimer here: in no way, shape, or form am I making fun of mental illness. I am simply going off of uh, my own experiences and my own beliefs on how things should be done, as well as looking at the Vampire the Masquerade 20th edition to kind of shed some light on how they have it portrayed in their books. Not only how it should be role played, but what system game mechanic that these derangements uh, bring out. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into things and do a little bit of sheeting templates. So we're going to go to player one here. Uh, our player one character. We have the concept of a gang member. That's right, a member of a gang uh, kicking around. Can be male or female. We've got the nature of. We're going to go the nature of. Do, do, do. Yeah. Nature of Bravo. The Bravo is the one that's always like, looking out for number one. I will be a bully to you because I believe that might makes right, etc., etc. And we'll go the demeanor of we'll do the demeanor of a competitor. So very much the kind of person who likes to, you know, compete with other people and likes to win and be the big man or the big girl, um, whichever it is. So we're going to go for this, and then we'll move down to the attributes. So we got 7, 5, and 3 to spend. So we're going to spend it in, uh, we'll go 3 dots here, a dot here, and a dot here. That's 5. And we'll go dot here and dot there for dexterity. So we're going to go swift. No. Let me think here. We're going to have the dexterity specialty of uh, quick. No, no, we'll do dexterity of fancy footwork. Yeah, that'll work. Fancy footwork. Very much able to dance around when they're fighting is happening. So we'll do manipulation and charisma as 3 each, an appearance of 2. Personality, intelligence, and wits. So very, very average in terms of the mental faculties for this particular one. Now we're going to go to talent, skills, and knowledges. So I feel like talents will be more the primary than knowledges. So we're going to go and do 3 dots in alertness, 3 dots in athletics, 1 dot in awareness, 2 dots in brawl. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we're going to go intimidation, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then we'll come over to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That looks good. Now we'll do this one for the 5. So we'll do definitely going to have a bit of law and a bit of investigation. Gang members tend to know what police look for. Definitely a dot in computers. We'll give them a dot in medicine and a dot in politics. Yeah, that looks good. So now we'll come down to the disciplines. Now we've got Auspex, Dementation, and Obfuscate. Now, Auspex is the aura reading dealio. Dementation is it's the ability of the Malkavians with some fun madness going on, and then Obfuscate is going to be our disappearing and hiding. So what we're going to do with this one, we're going to give him 1 dot in Auspex and 2 dots in Obfuscate. So now we're on to the backgrounds. Now the backgrounds is going to be 5. So backgrounds for this one. We're going to go domain, generation, resources. So he's got, we'll give him a 2 dot domain, 1 dot in generation, 2 dots in resources. That works good. Now domain is going to be, uh, that's an area of town that is considered that vampires. No other vampires will go in it unless, they've been invited in. They won't feed in that area because it's not theirs to feed in, and so on. Now, generation, that will give us a generation of 12, which means the blood pool will be 11, with only 1 blood point spent per turn. So, conscience, self-control, and courage, I should say. So, I think our guy is going to have at least a courage of 3, self-control, and conscience. Probably more self-control than conscience. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm actually going to take 1 away from here and throw it in courage. So that's 6 self-control and conscience, which means our path of humanity is going to be 6, and our willpower is going to be 4. There we go. So now we have our 15 freebies to spend, now that we've got this done. So for our 15 freebies, what we're going to do is we're going to go and spend, um, let's see here, 2 dots here and 2 dots here, so that's 4 dots. Uh, 4, so we go 6 points, 8 points, 10 points, 12 points, 14 points, and we'll go down to backgrounds and we'll add an ally of 1. So our gang member has an ally. It's got good subterfuge, streetwise, 3 dice for most of these. So that's giving him a good dexterity brawl of 7 dice, dexterity firearms of 7 dice. He's doing pretty good. He's got good streetwise knowledge, he's good at lying, good at intimidation, larceny, stealth he could use some work at, but he's got obfuscate to help with that. So yeah, it's not a bad sheet for a first time starter. So that's all of our points spent, and you got an ally. Now, we're going to go down to here. Incurable derangement is going to be paranoia. Now, this is what the book has to say about paranoia. Uh, the victim of paranoia believes that her misery and insecurity stem from external persecution and hostility. Paranoid individuals obsess about their persecution complexes, often creating vast and intricate conspiracy theories to explain who is tormenting them and why. Anyone or anything perceived to be one of them is often subject to violence. Kindred who suffer from paranoia have difficulty with social interaction. The difficulties of all dice rolls involving interaction are increased by 1. They are distrustful and suspicious of everyone, even their own blood-bound progeny. The slightest hint of suspicious behavior is enough to provoke a frenzy roll, with the difficulty relative to the degree of the behavior. Thus, paranoia may even extend to complex, or this paranoia may even extend to complex and rigorous feeding practices to keep them from contaminating the vampire's food supply. So we have a gang member with paranoia, uh, which is why he has Auspex 1 to allow for heightened senses, has a good level in their alertness. Perception and alertness is 5 dice. Not the best, but not the greatest either. Or, not the best, but not the worst either, I should say. Um, but he's got 2 dots in Obfuscate, which allows him or her to basically hide from view, to be invisible to anything but cameras, which is a good thing to have. Pardon me. So this is our wonderful little gang member Paranoid, the Bravo and the Competitor. Got some fancy footwork going on. This is a template that you can use. Uh, Now, Auspex, heightened senses, and the 2 dots here in obfuscate, neither one of them requires a roll to make. Uh, To kick up heightened senses is simply a reflexive action, and for obfuscate, you don't even have to spend a blood point. You simply take a moment and will yourself invisible, I believe. I will double check that right quickly, just to be on the safe side, to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Because, of course, you need to know what you're talking about. Yes, no roll is required. No roll is necessary. hmm You may have to make a wits stealth roll that might cause you to reveal yourself. But yeah, all you really need to be doing to activate unseen presence is simply be out of sight. You merely must be out of sight, and you can just kick that off and be invisible. So that's this wonderful little sheet. Uh, I'll be right back in just a moment with our next character, our next template. Feel free to use this in any of your campaigns if you like, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, we're now back, and we're moving on to player number 2, our second template. Here we have a concept of the IT guy. That's right, the internet technician guy, the dude that does the computers. So we're gonna have him be. Uh, he's gonna have the nature of. Uh, yes, director. He's very much. He likes to have things to be in charge, to be in his own way. We're gonna director and architect. So he's definitely looking to build something, to have a lasting legacy, and it's got to be his way or the highway kind of deal. We're gonna do strength, dexterity, and stamina. 1, 2, 3. Charisma, manipulation, intelligence, or appearance, I should say. We'll give him an appearance of 3 and a charisma of 3. He's kind of a charismatic guy. And then perception, intelligence. He's a smart cookie, so he gets a 4 in intelligence with the book smart specialty. Alrighty, so we're going to come over here and we're going to have a look at what we're going to do. Alertness 2, athletics 2, awareness of. Not going to give him an awareness, no. I'll give him an expression of 1. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah, we will. Give him an expression of 1. So far, that's fine. Let's see. Crafts. We'll give him an etiquette of 2. Give him a drive of 1 and a crafts of 2. Okay, that's 5 and 5. So one of these needs 4 more. It'll probably be this one. So we'll bump that up to 2. We'll bump subterfuge up to 2. And we'll give him an empathy of 1. There we go, 9. So here we're going to go definitely computers for 3. We're going to go science of 3 and technology of 3. That's 9. Academics of 3. Pretty book smart. Pretty smart guy. So that's 12. And we'll go 13 with finance. We'll throw a dot in finance. He knows a little bit about that. That'll work. Okay. Now for this guy, so 13, 9, 5. Yep, we're good. So for this guy here, we're gonna go to, I think we're gonna go 3 dots in Auspex. Now 3 dots in Auspex can do some interesting things. We've got the first dot is your heightened senses, your second dot is your aura perception, and your third dot is What is the third dot in Auspex? Let's have a look-see. I forget. It is the Spirit's Touch. It allows for psychic reading of things. Whenever you touch an object, you can pick up uh, on the psychic reading of it. So yes, so we're going to give him 3 dots in Auspex. He's going to have Generation for sure. No allies, no contacts. Um, he keeps to himself fairly much for the most part. Going to have a. We're just going to go tier. 2 dots in generation, 3 dots in resources, which will make him a generation 11, which is going to give him 12 blood points, 1 blood point a turn. So now we're going to go conscience, self-control, like that. 7 and 3. So that gives the humanity, boop a doop a doop, 7 dots, 3 dots in willpower, and not paranoia. No, sir, not paranoia. This wonderful fellow is going to be obsessive compulsive for his particular derangement. Now, the book says that obsessive compulsive, that the trauma, guilt, or inner conflict that causes this derangement forces the individual to focus nearly all of her attention and energy onto a single repetitive behavior or action. Obsession relates to an individual's desire to control her environment, keeping clean, keeping an area quiet and peaceful, or keeping undesirable individuals from an area, for example. A compulsion is an action or set of actions that an individual is driven to perform to soothe her anxieties. For example, placing objects in an exact order, or feeding from a mortal in a precise ritualistic fashion. Vampires with an obsessive compulsive derangement must determine a set of specific actions or behaviors as described above and follow them to the exclusion of all else. The effects of obsessive compulsive behavior can be negated for the course of one scene by spending a temporary willpower point. The difficulty of any attempt to coerce or dominate a vampire into ceasing her behavior is raised by 1. If a vampire is forcibly prevented from adhering to her derangement, she automatically frenzies. So, what that means is that this is where the research that I mentioned earlier uh, comes into play. For if you are going to play, at least I think I mentioned earlier. If I didn't, I'll mention it now again, possibly. But that if you're going to be delving into doing any sort of madness or any sort of derangement for a character, whether it be Malkavian or not, always do your research. Always look things up online. There's tons of resources out there to devote to this sort of thing. There's all kinds of stuff that you can read up on and find medical sites, medical journals, etc., etc. There's information out there. It's available. There's no there's no excuse for half-assing it, in my opinion. So, with obsessive compulsives, you basically need to come up with what your character is obsessive about. What is their obsession? What do they have to do? You need to come up with that. Whether it's, this area must be kept in a specific force or in a specific way, or they have to do things like feeding in a specific way. They have to go about their day following a rigid protocol of this is what I do. It does not change. Um, you need to come up with that idea. What fits your character for obsessive compulsive? And then you need to come up with the compulsion. What you need to do, what the action or set of actions that you do whenever your anxieties come up. whenever it pops up that maybe you can't go through with your obsession, then your compulsion kicks in and kind of helps soothe you that you've been kept away from this. Uh, so you need to come up with these ideas ahead of time. Uh, Detail them with your storyteller. This is one of the types of characters more so than a paranoid uh, character, but the obsessive compulsives and the other ones that I'll be delving into uh, are very much ones that will hinder your character because derangements are flaws. So when you take them, when you have them, they are meant to not benefit your character in any way. They're meant to hinder them because it's a flawed character. So you need to keep that in mind because frankly, if you're not willing to do this, if you're not willing to take on this task and do this research so that you know what you're talking about, you know how you should be playing the uh, the particular derangement, maybe Clan Malkavian isn't for you. But this wonderful character that we have here is our obsessive compulsive, and we got 15 freebies to spend. So we're going to throw another couple dots here into empathy for 4 freebie points. We should spend a couple here. That's 8 freebie points. Throw a couple in firearms, so he knows so he can defend himself. So that's 2, 4, 6. That's 12 freebie points. Then I'm gonna come down here and spend uh, another freebie point for. I think I'm gonna check here. Check in the book. Of course, it wouldn't show it there. For the freebie point costs, wherever the freebie point costs are, around here somewhere. Nope, that's experience point costs. That's not what I want. I believe freebie points are sitting at. Here we are, freebie point costs. Yes, willpower is 1 dot. So I'm going to spend a freebie point here for a dot in willpower. And we'll go up here and spend a freebie point. We'll spend a couple freebie points on herd. So there's our last 3 freebie points. Because obsessive compulsive would have a herd, somebody to feed off of that they could keep things going. Now with a herd of 2, that's 7 individuals. So usually me as a storyteller, when I do things, if I've got anything like this, it's always a good idea to write down a couple lines that you can give to your storyteller and be like, these are the people that are my herd. This is what they're like. If you can give the storyteller stuff to do, stuff to use, that's great. It's always a good idea to give your storyteller stuff to use against you, at least in my opinion. So here you have it, a sheet for an IT guy who is an obsessive compulsive director architect. Not bad, I think. Not bad at all. All right. So now we're going to switch on over here. I'll be back with you in just a minute with the next character. All right. We're back again. We're on to our third template. We're going to do the concept of English teacher. That's right. We've got an English teacher who happens to be a Malkavian. Because Malkavians come from all walks of life. And it's going to be the pedagogue, nature, and the pedagogue traditionalist. So very much ingrained in how things should be, the way they were, etc., etc. But also always wanting to teach others. So we're going to go strength, dexterity, stamina, charisma, intelligence, manipulation, charisma, and charisma. Very glib tongue. for the specialty for charisma. And then we're going to go perception, intelligence, wits. Intelligence and wits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So intelligence is very. We're going to go intelligence specialty of subject authority. It's not all going to fit there. And wits is going to be very engaging oration. Engaging oration. So very very charismatic, um, very witty in terms of when he's orating, making speeches. Uh, Definitely a subject authority. So this character, we're going to go down here. Definitely knowledge is going to be big, so we're going to get right into that. Academics 3. We're going to go occult 3, politics 3, science of 2, technology of 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Is that, wait, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, that's it then. 13 there. We'll go expression needs to be 3, alertness, awareness, said awareness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need 8, 9. We'll do empathy. Empathy. And then we're going to go etiquette 3, performance 2. That'll work. Now for this one, we're going to go disciplines. We're going to go dementation all the way. Yes. Yes, we are. Backgrounds, generation, put generation, uh, generation, resources, domain. So we'll go 2 dots in generation, 2 dots in resources, 1 dot in domain. I won't go up here yet because I'm going to be spending some freebie points here. Conviction, self-control, courage, courage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. So that's going to give us a humanity path of 6, willpower of 4, incurable derangement, sanguinary animism. Now, sanguinary animism is something that only vampires uh, suffer from. I'll get into that in just a minute. First, I'm going to spend my freebie points for a very particular reason. So we're going to go a freebie point here, and we're going to go, that's 2 dots, or 2 freebie points. 4, 6, 8, right? So that's 4, 6, 8. So we're going to go 9. Yes, 9. We'll buy another willpower. And then we're going to go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, I know. This can be done. So now you're at a generation 4 dots. I need to double check that. Just a second. Generation 4 dots is 9th gen. So that's going to go to 9th generation. fairly potent ninth generation, 14 blood points, and can spend 2 per turn. Now has a 5 willpower, 6 humanity. Domain of 4 is pretty potent in terms of domain. A domain of 4 would give him uh, a sewer subsection, a network of service tunnels, the enclave of homes on a hill overlooking the city, a place with inherently protected features such as an isolated mountain road, bridge-only access, or vigilant private security force. So yes, it gives him a fairly large domain. Him or her. Uh, don't really have an idea as to whether or not this is a man or a woman. So got a pretty big domain, pretty potent generation, decent resources, then lots of dots here, lots of dots here, uh, and 3 dots in dementation. Now, the 3 dots in dementation, your first one lets you stir passions in the victims that you use it on, and it uses charisma and empathy. So that's 7 dice for this particular character. The second one allows you to, if I remember correctly, um, just going to take a peek here at the book because it's written down and I know about where to go to get to it. There we are. Yes, the second allows you to spend a blood point, speak to the victim, and you can cause them to have hallucinations, make them be haunted for a certain amount of time. Uh, and it could be any of the senses for these visitations. It's called the haunting, but it lets you do what is it? Manipulation and subterfuge. That's 5 dice for that. And then the third dot is the Eyes of Chaos, which lets you determine like a person's true nature or things like the you could read a message locked in a coded missive, see the doings of an invisible hand in such events as the pattern of falling leaves. So it could be like anything has hidden insight. The fractured insight of and wisdom of madness is what the Eyes of Chaos does. And it lets you roll perception, which is up here, 2 dots, and occult, 3 dots. So fairly decent in terms of what he or she can do. Uh, Definitely probably a very political kindred too. So sanguinary animism, we have, according to the book, this derangement is unique to the kindred, a response to vampires' deep-seated guilt regarding the act of feeding on the blood of mortals. Kindred with this derangement believe they do not merely consume victims' blood but their souls as well, which are then made a part of the vampire's consciousness. In the hours after feeding, the vampire hears the voice of her victim inside her head, feels a tirade of memories from the victim's mind, all created by the vampire's subconscious. In extreme cases, this sense of possession can drive a kindred to carry out actions on behalf of her victims. Diablerie would be particularly unwise for an animist. Whenever a vampire with this derangement feeds on a mortal, a willpower roll is needed. Difficulty 6, or 9 if she drains the mortal to the point of death. If the roll succeeds, she is tormented by memories of the person whose soul she has partially consumed, but is still able to function normally. If the roll fails, then the images in her mind are so strong that it is akin to having a second personality inside her, an angry and reproachful personality that seeks to cause harm to the vampire and her associates. The vampire must role-play this state as if the mind of her victim is in control. During the moments just before dawn, control reverts to the vampire. So, sanguinary animism is a very unique form of madness. Um, Not quite like multiple personality disorder, because it's all made up by the victim's or by the vampire's mind, and the memories and such that they're seeing aren't real. Um, they're not anything that has actually happened, just what the vampire thinks has happened based on what they know of the victim. So it's kind of interesting, this one, especially for our English teacher. Uh, with a ninth generation, they may have been around for quite a number of years too, several hundred years. So they may have memories in there based off of famous people that they fed from and think they know things about history that never really happened. So it's kind of interesting. You can have some fun with a character like this. But this is just a starting template um, for this particular one. I think we're fairly good with that. So I will leave you all here for a minute, and I'll see you in just a bit on our fourth template. See you shortly. All right, we're back, and we're going to go with our fourth template with the discharged soldier. So we got a soldier who was discharged because, well, probably not in the best of mental states. So we're going to go nature is going to be, yeah, nature is going to be soldier, and we're going to go loner for demeanor. So this is a guy who still is very much a soldier in his own mind, uh, wants orders to be able to follow, etc., etc., but is very much has gotten to the point where he's better. He feels he's better off alone, taking care of himself and no one else. So this one, he's going to have a bit more strength and dexterity. We're going to put it in stamina with the tough as nails uh, specialty. I knew that word. Uh, charisma, manipulation, and appearance. I'm actually going to take that dot away from there and put it in appearance. Not very charismatic, this guy. So we'll do perception, perception, and intelligence. 7, 5, 3. Hold on. Sorry about that. Had to cough. Tickle in my throat. Uh, alertness will be going 3 dots. Athletics will be going 3 dots. Brawl will be going 3 dots. Intimidation, 2 dots. No, we're going to go 3 dots. And leadership of 1. Because he's a soldier, he's still good. Um, for this one, we're going to go drive 3 dots. Here, firearms are going to go 3 dots. And melee is going to go 3 dots. So he's fairly decent fighter. So we're going to go computers of 3 dots because soldier, he knows some things. And technology of 2. Alright, that's good so far. So now we're going to move down here. And we're going to go obfuscate, dementation, and auspex. One of each. He's got the auspex to do the heightened senses, the obfuscate to hide in shadows, and the dementation to stir the emotions. Now that's charisma empathy. I don't have any dots in empathy now, so I'm going to need to spend a couple freebies here. Our backgrounds, we're going to go no generation on him, but we are going to do some allies and some contacts and some resources. So we're going to give him a couple dots of allies, a couple dots of contacts, and a dot in resource. Then we're going to come over here to conscience, self-control, and courage. Courage is going to be 5 automatically. Self-control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's giving us a humanity of 5 because soldier, he's willing to kill for his own survival. He sees nothing wrong with it. willpower of 5. And his incurable derangement is going to be schizophrenia. Now, schizophrenia is one of the big derangements. It is something that is uh, many people are affected by uh, mental illness and whatnot. It is not something that is easy to play or is going to be very um, simple to play out. You want to do your research on this derangement if you want to play it. I myself spent years uh, not wanting to tackle this derangement simply because I didn't feel I could do it justice. It took me quite a long time and a fair bit of research into schizophrenia, how it presents, how people who have it tend to act, and so on. So with no dots in generation, this guy's the 13th, which is 10 blood points, 1 per turn. Now the book has schizophrenia as is written down as so. Conflicting, unresolvable sets of feelings and impulses can cause the victim to develop schizophrenia, which manifests as a withdrawal from reality, violent changes in behavior, and hallucinations. Role-playing this derangement requires careful thought because the player must determine a general set of behaviors relevant to the trauma that caused the derangement. The hallucinations, bizarre behavior, and unseen voices stem from a terrible inner conflict that the individual cannot resolve. The player needs to establish a firm idea of what that conflict is, then rationalize what kind of behavior this conflict will cause. Kindred with this derangement are unpredictable and dangerous. In situations that trigger a vampire's inner conflict, the difficulties of all rolls to resist or direct frenzy increase by 3, and the vampire loses 3 dice from all willpower rolls. So this is something that can seriously hamper gameplay um, because it will get in the way of what you as a player are wanting to do with your character because that's what derangements do. That's why they're flaws. Flaws are meant to get in the way. So you always got to keep that in mind. But you do need to do the research because just like the book says, you need to establish what that conflict is and rationalize what kind of behavior it'll cause with those conflicting, unresolvable sets of feelings and impulses. You need to figure that out. And the only way to really figure that out is to do your research on it. Don't skimp. Don't just think, oh, I'll just play it by the seat of my pants, because it's not going to work. And you're going to come off playing it, uh, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, but you will come off playing it wrong. It'll seem clownish and fluffy, and those type of Malkavians I do not enjoy at all. I think it's a slap in the face to what this particular clan should be. So we're going to leave this one here. I've spent my freebie points, I believe, or have I? No, I have not spent my freebie points yet. Oh, I almost left without spending my freebie points. Let's spend those freebies. All right, we're going to throw a couple dots into empathy here, because he's not that good at it, but that's 2 dots. Then we're going to go a dot in alertness, a dot in brawl. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 12 right there. Then we'll go 13, 14, 15. So we're going to go firearms. We'll do handguns, melee. We'll do melee will be knives. Alertness will be threats. So he's always alert to threats. And brawl will be close quarters combat. Close quarters combat for those specialties. This is a dangerous, dangerous man because trained as a soldier, discharged because of his mental instability, um, which of course is what drew the Malkavians to him, that ended up giving him the schizophrenia. So the way I'm looking at it, for this type of character, for schizophrenia, I would say the conflicting, unresolvable sets of feelings and impulses should be centered around his embrace, his or her embrace. Uh, they, whichever it is, they were embraced by a Malkavian, and they still want to be human, but they know they're not, which is causing the schizophrenia in him. It's a plausible explanation. Still got 3 allies and some contacts around his hometown. He knows people who can help him out and are willing to help him out. And he's definitely dangerous in terms of a fight. He's the sort of one guy who is kind of like the Punisher in a way, I'd say, maybe a little bit. Uh, so yes, that's our template for our discharged soldier with schizophrenia. And I'll be right back in just a minute with our last template. See you in a few. Alright, we're back with our last template here. We're going to go with the concept of snooty barista. Barista. There we are. The snooty barista at the expensive coffee shop. That is our player number 5. And we're going to do a... Let's see here. We're going to do a child nature. Kind of a bit of a rich boy who, kind of an entitled hipster, wants wants what he wants when he wants it. And the we're gonna do curmudgeon. Nothing's ever good enough for our snooty barista. Nothing's ever good enough. It's just like no, 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 no. And let's see, strength, dexterity, stamina. We'll go 1, 1, 1. Social manipulation, appearance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we are. Appearance, very very we'll do sexy. We'll make him a sexy snooty barista. Yeah, that'll work. Perception, intelligence, wits. Uh, Perception and wits higher than intelligence. So we'll head over here now. We're going to do alertness, athletics, awareness, brawl, and empathy. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So over here we're going to have crafts, drive. Give him 3 dots in drive, 3 dots in etiquette, 3 dots in performance. Yes. And over here, see now, science, politics, medicine, law. I'm going to go 2 dots in computers, a dot in academics, 2 dots in finance. So I'll come back to here and I need to do, that's 5. We'll go alertness, awareness, empathy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There we go. That's good enough. Now for this one, we're going to go, yeah, yeah, I think we will. We are going to do 3 dots in dementation, for him. So that's going to be our charisma and empathy, our manipulation and our subterfuge, and our perception and occult. Now I need to throw some dots on occult, but that's what freebies are for. So we'll look over here. We're going to do generation, resources, and mentor for our snooty barista. Click, 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 click. Courage, self-control, conscience. We're going to do self-control. So that's going to give us a humanity of 7 and a willpower of 3. But that's what freebies are for. So our generation is going to be 2 dots. Our resources will be 2 dots, and our mentor will be 1 dot for now. Now our freebie points are going to be spent. So we're going to spend a couple dots in occult. That's 6 dots there. 8 dots to boost up our willpower, 2 more. 9 dots, 10 dots, 11 dots, and 11 dots. Wait, hold on. I may have to back that up a bit. Yes, I will back that up a bit. So, pop that off, pop that off, pop that off. Because I did 3 here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we're going to spend 7 freebie points to buy dementation. Because I believe that is the correct freebie point cost for that. Yep, freebie point cost is 7. So I got 6 here, 2 there, 1 more dot to add dementation. Now the 4th level of dementation, that is fairly potent. Our snooty barista is pretty powerful when it comes to his abilities. That lets him. Let me take a quick peek here. Yeah, that is Voice of Madness. That lets the kindred address his victims out loud, can drive targets into fits of blind rage or fear, forcing them to abandon reason and higher thought. Victims are plagued by hallucinations of their subconscious demons, try to flee or destroy their hidden shames. Tragedy always follows in the wake of this power's use. Though offending Malkavians often claim they were merely encouraging people to act according to their natures. Unfortunately for the vampire concerned, he runs a very real risk of falling prey to his own voice's power. So yes, you roll manipulation and empathy. 1 target is affected per success, although all potential victims must be listening to the vampire's voice. That's including yourself. So dementation, manipulation, which he has, and empathy. So he can do all of his powers. That's always a good thing to check. If you want, get your disciplines in order and then figure it out. So our snooty barista has that happening on. He's got a mentor of 1, not a very potent mentor, only a couple resources, a couple dots in generation, which will put him at difficult generation 11, which is 12 and 1. And his incurable derangement is multiple personalities. Now, I know multiple personality disorder is now called dissociative identity disorder by some. The book, the Vampire 20 book, says multiple personalities, so I'm going to go by that. And it says here, the trauma that spawns this derangement fractures the victim's personality into 1 or more additional personas, allowing the victim to deny her trauma or any actions the trauma causes by placing the blame on someone else. Each personality is created to respond to emotional stimuli. An abused person might develop a tough as nails survivor personality, create a protector, or even become a murderer in order to deny the abuse she is suffering. In most cases, none of the personalities is aware of the others, and they come and go through the victim's mind in response to specific situations or conditions. When a vampire suffers this derangement, the storyteller and the player must agree upon how many and what kind of personalities develop, and the situations that trigger their dominance in the victim. Each personality should be relevant to the trauma that causes it. Not only is each personality distinct, but in the case of kindred, the different personalities might believe themselves to be from different clans and sires. Kindred with multiple personalities can manifest different abilities and even virtues for each of their personalities, but it is the storyteller's responsibility to determine specific details. It is also the player's responsibility, I find, or I feel, to uh, to help with this creation. Now, whether or not your storyteller will allow you, some will allow you to make up entirely new character sheets um, based on that new persona. Uh, with our snooty barista here, I'm thinking he's only got one particular um, personality in order in his thing, in his little wheelhouse, and his other personality is a bit of an anarchist, kind of guy that basically throws monkey wrenches into the gears just to see things happen. Hence the higher level of dementation, because our snooty barista probably only knows the first two dots. The other personality knows all four of them and is more apt to use them to cause madness and cause crazy things to happen. Uh, and the the other personality would have a name, a personality to of their very own, different, so different nature, different demeanor, um, and it's up to the player and the storyteller to collaborate and come to an agreement on what those are. As with schizophrenia, multiple personalities is one you want to do the research on. I've seen many people play multiple personalities where it comes off as being very clownish and fluffy because they have personalities changing at the drop of a hat just randomly whenever they want. And that's not how it should be done. Uh, Multiple personalities really need to be done uh, they're spawned from a specific trauma, and that specific trauma has a trigger. So, for example, a protector personality usually tends to be spawned from the trauma of being abused. So, whenever the character would suffer abuse, the protector personality would take over and deal with the abuser, uh, often quite violently, or simply getting them away from there. There's also other ways that abuse can be dealt with. I'm not going to get into it, but that's just an example because you need to really make sure you know what what that trauma is that spawned it. That needs to be nailed down. So that's it for my templates that we have here. We have the Snooty Barista as our fifth template. So we're going to leave this episode here now. Uh, I hope I have shed some light onto some of you when it comes to Malkavians and the super fun derangements that they can have. And I hope I haven't offended anybody. If I have, please, it was not my intent. As I said, all I was doing is kind of highlighting what needs to be done if you want to portray such a character, if you want to play such a character. It's not an easy task. If you don't feel you're up to it, try one of the other clans. They're a lot more easier to, uh, pardon the pun, wrap your head around. So I'm going to leave this episode here. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give the like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of any new episodes I put out. I usually try to put out one video a week, if not more. Um, and throw a comment in the comment section. Do you like Vampire the Masquerade? Do you like Malkavians? What's your favorite Malkavian that you've ever played? Let's get a discussion going. I'd love to talk to some people. So that's it for this episode of Character Class. I hope you've all learned something. And until next time, uh, class is dismissed.